Hi everybody, I'm Ed from Chicago Fly House, and today we want to talk about inspecting your fall protection harness. This is a pretty important piece of equipment. Obviously it's supposed to save our lives, so we want to make sure it's in tip-top shape before we use it, and we're going to do this kind of inspection every day. I've got two harnesses here, one that's brand new that we'll use to kind of point things out, and then one that's definitely well used, and we'll see if we can find any problems with it. So when we're inspecting a harness, there's four things we're going to look for. We're going to look at all the buckles and connectors, all the things that are made out of metal. We're going to look at all the webbing. We're going to look at the fall indicators, and we're going to look at the labels. All of those things need to be correct in order for us to use this harness. So we'll start with the new one because it's a pretty easy place to start. And with this is a fairly big harness. It's going to be a little bit interesting to manipulate here, but we'll see what we can do. I like to start with the dorsal ring because this is a nice hub. Everything in the harness is going to come back to here pretty much. And so this is a place I like to start. It also, at least on this particular harness, we can see that it puts us right in the neighborhood of our fall indicators. I'm always going to check the fall indicators first because those are the things, if this harness has taken a fall, I'm throwing it away. I'm not going to use it. And so why inspect it if the fall indicators are blown, right? So what am I talking about? If we look here, we see that we have a little fold of webbing and it's stitched over, and there's another one on the other side of the harness. If somebody's in a fall in this harness, those stitches are going to tear away, and it will let us know that somebody's taken a fall and let us know this harness is not fit for use anymore. In some cases, some manufacturers will put red color under there or some other kind of alert to let you know that this happened. In this particular case, we just have to be paying attention to whether that fold is still there or not. That's the first part. So the next part is we want to look at all the metal things, and I'll lump the plastic things in here too. But we start with the D-ring. The D-ring is the thing that's going to catch us most probably, so it's a pretty important place to start. This one has a spring-loaded ring that will flip back like this, so we make sure that that's working. I'm inspecting the ring to make sure that it doesn't have any corrosion, that it doesn't have any dents, that it's not pulled, deformed, misshapen in any way. And since I'm here, I'm going to look at all the plastic around this to make sure that the plastic isn't damaged. Every piece of this harness is meant to be essentially perfect, right? It all serves a purpose, and it needs to be there and be in good working order for us to trust this harness. Okay? So then I'm going to look around. I have some other metal on this harness. We've got at the chest, we have a buckle. It's the kind of buckle that we slide open like that. And so I'm checking the rings to make sure, again, that they're not corroded, they're not bent, they're not damaged, everything's good. And there's a few plastic bits here that I'm also going to take a look at while I'm here. Make sure they're in good shape. These rings here are designed to give you a place to hang your lanyard hooks. And so we're making sure that those are there and in good shape. Same one over here. And now I'm going to move down to, at the bottom of the chest straps, we have a different kind of mechanism. This mechanism is designed to easily adjust the length of the strap. It's basically a ratchet mechanism, and when we pull on it, it locks in place. So I'm looking to make sure that mechanism is functioning correctly, not damaged, not bent, not corroded. I do the same on the other side, make sure that it works. And now I've delivered myself to the waist belt. This particular harness is a construction style harness. It has a waist belt on it, and it has these two side D-rings. These D-rings are for work positioning, but we still want to make sure they're in great shape. And so we're going to look and make sure that they are not corroded, not bent, not misshapen, etc. We also have the buckle for the belt. Check that that's okay. And these grommets. The grommets, if we take a fall, are going to be pretty obvious that something happened. But we can also find if they're just decaying over time, if they're tearing out. Again, it wants to be perfect, right? If it's not perfect, we don't really want to use it. Now the leg straps on this are the kind that also use grommets. I like these because for leg straps, they're really fast to put on and take off. It's easy to get them the right size. The only downside is you're limited by how far apart the grommets are. You have somewhat limited adjustability. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm checking the buckles, I'm checking the grommets, Again, brand new harness, everything looks fine. So I've gotten a little lost in my map of the harness here. I'm going to go back to the dorsal ring and start there again. So this is let me spin this around. This is kind of a road map of our harness, right? We have all the straps kind of coming together at the D-ring. So I like to start here and sort of work my way around, right? And so I'm going to start right at the D-ring, and I'm looking at the webbing. Is the webbing having any issues? Do we have any stitches pulled? Are we see any loose threads, any damage to the webbing? Sometimes that damage might be welded, drops of hot welding slag get on it and punch holes in it, things like that. And so I'm checking all along that strap, and I'm going to follow it till we basically get to the end of it, which is over here. One thing to point out with this, let me set this down so we can see it here. We see that here there are a couple on the end of this webbing, there's a couple of loose threads, or what look like loose threads. That is the end, and we have a little crud here. That's the end of the stitching. That's just the end of the intended stitch. And so we have to recognize that those are not problems, right? And that the stitches are all still there. I do want to be careful and look to see that all of this stitching is in place. We don't want to have any dropped stitches, any loose threads, anything like that. Your life is in this, right? It's not too hard to figure out why we want it to be exactly perfect. So I did that down to the yellow end of the yellow here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that same strap. I'm actually going to trace it back and go across ways, follow that strap to the other end, right? And I'm going to look down here. While I'm here, I'm going to check the padding. There's not much to that. Again, following this strap down all the way to its end where it changes to blue. One nice thing about these particular harnesses is that with the color changes, you can keep track of where you're going, right? What I'm going to do from there is up to me, right? What I recommend with this is that you pick the path you like and you do it the same way every time. Consistency is going to help us make sure that we don't miss anything. And you can see as I wrestle with this, it's a little bit easy to miss things. So for me, what I do is I'm going to go back to where I started, and I'm going to do the other pathway. I'm going to check the other yellow strap and then follow the other yellow strap around. I have to remember to look at the chest strap because that kind of is a cul-de-sac on our little highway. I'm going to check that to make sure it's okay. And then I'm going to go to the blue straps. And so for that, I can set it here, and we have the blue strap starts here and traces its way around. And so I'm, again, following. It doesn't hurt to use your finger to keep track of where you're going. I'm working my way around, and I can see, I can get to the end of this. Rather than look at every single stitch on here, I'm going to assume that we get the idea at this point. The last piece of this is to find the labels, and here I've been wrestling with this. There are labels all over. Excuse me, there are not labels all over. Here I've been wrestling with this. Where do I find the label? And it turns out it's right here. We can see the manufacturer information, and there is this Velcro tearaway pouch that has the labels showing, and we can see that there is a blank inspection log for annual inspections, right? We have to do an annual inspection of this harness by a competent person. There's also a few quick instructions. There's some information about what standards this complies with. Also, when it was made. There isn't currently a standard about how long you should keep a harness. Some manufacturers will put a number to it. Others will say that you retire it when it's time to retire it, when it doesn't pass inspection anymore. I kind of fall on that side of things. I prefer that we say, let's find something wrong with it. But if assigning it to a certain number of years or a certain number of uses, whatever is going to meet your risk tolerance, that's what you should do, as long as it doesn't go outside of what the manufacturers say. So we've taken a look at this. We've checked all the hard metal stuff, all the soft webbing stuff. We looked at the padding. We looked at the buckles. We looked at the labels. We are now ready to use this harness. So that one's a brand new one. Let's hang this up here and take a look at our old one. Let's see if we can find any problems. So with this, if I start here and I look at the ring, I see the ring still works basically the same. We have almost the same model of harness here. It's not quite the same. It doesn't have the waist belt. But as I look, we see we have a lot of dirt. And as I check just off the top of my head, I see in webbing, we have a couple nicks in the webbing here. They're not actual holes. They're just little pulls. And that's a case where if I was using this harness on a daily basis, I would be interested in whether or not these are getting worse. I would want to be checking that out to see whether I see any progress in those. Because at the moment, they're not quite bad enough for us to retire this, but I would definitely be paying attention to it. As I look at the plastic, we can see that, you know, with this older thing, it's certainly been used, and there's a little bit of evidence that it's been dragged across things or something like that, but there's really no damage here. A lot of times the plastic is some of the first stuff to fail on this. So if we're back here, we see that we have our fall indicators are both still intact. We see that we still have our label, and it's still protected. It's still under here. And I can see that this one was made about 4 years ago. It certainly has about 4 years worth of use on it. And basically I do the same thing. What we see as I look through this, and I'm doing this a little bit fast, and you can see that I'm not following my highway because I cheated and I looked at this ahead of time. So what we see is that in general, even though this harness is a little bit beat up, it's a little bit dirty, it's a little bit used, it's still okay for use. It's still going to meet our standards for use. But at the same time, it makes a good argument for checking these things daily, because this one's starting to get to the point where it could very easily not pass inspection. So that's a very quick look at inspecting your harnesses. As always with fall protection, I'm going to say go back to the manufacturer if you have any questions. That's your resource. We here at Flyhouse are happy to help. If you want to reach out to us, drop a note in the comments, contact us online. We're happy to help too, but it really comes to the manufacturer. They're the ones who are responsible for making sure you have the information you need to properly use this harness. That's it for now. If you have anything you want to see us do, let us know in the comments. Thanks a lot.